everybody. Welcome back. Let's get started. It's 10 o'clock. गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पतान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामविद्यवत्। ओम गणेशाय नमः। ओम सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। वागीशाद्य सुमनसः सर्वार्थानामुपक्रमे यं नत्वा कृतकृत्या स्युः तं नमामि गजाननं। वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटिसूर्य समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारंभं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शंकराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्य केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं यस्य सन्निधि मात्रेण सर्वे शिष्याश्च सेवकाः कर्मक्षेत्रे प्रवर्तन्ते चिन्मयं तं नमाम्यहम्। Chinmayam tam namamyaham. Let us do the Pratasmaranam. Pratasmarami hridi samspuradatma tattvam. Satchit sukham paramaham sagatim turiyam. Yat swapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam. Tad brahma nishkalamaham na cha bhuta sangha. Pratar bhajami manasa vachasam gamyam. Vacho vibhanti nikila yadanugrahena. Yanneti neti vachanai nigama tam deva deva majamachyuta mahuragyam. Pratarnamami tamasah paramarkavarnam. Purnam sanatana padam Purushotamakyam. Yasminnidam jagadasheshamasheshamurtau. Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai. Rajvam bhujangamayiva pratibhasitam vai. Hari Om, everybody. Welcome back to our weekly Vedanta classes. We have covered the first 3 verses of Upadesha Saara. I'll share the screen. Let us chant the first 3 verses. They are all related to Karma Yoga. Karturagnaya prapyate palam. Karma kim param. Karma tajjadam. Karturagnaya prapyate palam. Karma kim param. Karma tajjadam. Kruti mahodadhau patana karanam. Palam shashvatam gati nirodhakam. Kruti mahodadhau patana karanam. Palam shashvatam gati nirodhakam. Ishwararpitam Nechaya kritam chitta shodakam mukti sadhakam. Ishwararpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodakam mukti sadhakam. So far, since we started this text, we have seen that in our lives, we perform actions and then we get results for those. They are the fruits of our action. It is called as the karma pala. That aha moment when we get that karma palam. We learned that our actions are finite, the results are finite and limited, but the attachment created is permanent. And we realize that the upliftment comes only when we turn karma to karma yoga. When we use that for bhoga, it becomes a roga, dis-ease. In the first shloka, we learned that karma done with a sense of doership, kartrutva, and bhoktrutva, enjoyership, becomes the cause for samsara. Whether we do these actions in our secular life or in our spiritual life. When we dedicate the karmas to the Lord, it purifies our mind. Chitta shuddhaye natu muktaye. Remember, not all karmas are okay. Only kartavya karma, our obligatory duties, that we should surrender it to the Lord. We cannot do nishiddha karma, prohibited actions, and say, I offer it to the Lord. That is applying false logic. And the cheerful acceptance of the results as prasada buddhi. You know, when we go to the temple, they give us tirtham, they give a mala, kumkum as prasad. Prasad does not necessarily have to be an eatable. This concept of prasad means an eatable, I believe, is very much prevalent in northern India. I learned that during our course time in Sandipani. One time during the course, just to share with the class, somebody had gotten this chandan, almost looked like capsules from Sri Rangam. Swamiji had asked me to distribute it to the students. And I was telling them prasad. One guy straight put that in his mouth. That capsule looking chandan in his mouth. When I told him it was chandan, he told me, Aap prasad bola na? So the concept, then only I understood. I told him even this is considered prasad. Like that, we have a strange idea. Only a fruit like banana or an apple is prasad. But we need to start to elevate our thinking. Even the fruit of action, the result of action, or karma phala, is also his prasada. I hope you got the link to that. So in last week, we learned the main features of karma yoga, the 3-point plan. Number 1, kartavya karmas. Obligatory duties must be done dedicated to the Lord. Arpita buddhi, number 1. Performance of worship of Lord, any action as performance of his worship. Dasya buddhi, that I am his servant, he is my master. Number 3, all karma phala to be accepted as his prasada, prasada buddhi. We also learned that we need to recognize Lord as karmadhyaksha while working and recognize him as karma phala data while receiving the results of the action. However, good or bad, whatever comes. So this bhavana, this attitude is difficult to remember all the time. But we should start with that attitude. This attitude, this bhava will give us what? Chitta Shuddhi, purity of our mind. That's the result of that. Now you see, I am in the temple. When I am in the temple, or when I listen to a good lecture, I will have this bhavana. In the temple, I am a devotee, bhakta. Then when I am out about in the world, we assume many identities. Some of us may assume the role of a director, a manager, a software engineer, a supervisor, a mother, a brother, sister, etc. Now let us think a little higher. With whom is my primary relationship? My father, my mother, my spouse, other relatives? They're all only associated with me in this birth. But I know from Vedanta that I have existed before. So the relationship with people are occasional, not permanent. That's why we call them relatives, not absolutes. We call them relatives. But my relationship with the total is always there. Let us take the example of an ocean. There is a big wave, there is a small wave, a ripple. In the ocean, all of them have a relationship with each other, but their primary relationship is what? With the ocean. I think that is easy to understand. Similarly, our primary relationship is with the total. See, when we have that bhava, that I am a devotee of the Lord first, that is my primary relationship. That is my primary identity with the Lord. All else comes as secondary relationship. I hope you got that point with that example. Now let us examine what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says as to how to strengthen this attitude of worship of God. We learned last week, Ishwararpitam Nechaya Krutam, as to how to divinize our actions. Now, we turn our attention from divinization of our actions to the divinization of our emotions. Like even in our currency, it says, in God we trust. Is it not? When devotion flows through our actions, it becomes a live wire. With that attitude of devotion, all our negativities, they get dissolved. Our Puja Gurudev used to say, I've quoted this many times, in all other forms of love, we say we fall in love. But in devotion or bhakti, we say we rise in love. It elevates us. Lot of people misunderstand that karma and bhakti are mutually exclusive. They are not. Devotion is pervading the yoga of action. When we perform the action, we have to be devoted to it. Chittasya shuddhaye karma natu vastu upalabdaye. Viveka Chudamani. With that much introduction, let us see our next shloka. Let me share the screen. Kaya vangmana karyamuttamam pujanam japas chintanam kramat. Kaya vangmana karyamuttamam pujanam japas chintanam kramat. I know some of you are trying to memorize, so that's why I'm repeating twice so that you get the correct pronunciation. Kaya vak manah karyam pujanam japah chintanam kramat uttamam. See, all of us are blessed with this emotion called love. Educated, illiterate, literate, it does not matter. This emotion is natural to all of us. We know even plants, trees, animals, they understand the language of love. We have to give this emotion to express. Let's say I have to learn to sing. I need to make sure I need to practice music. We need to go to a good teacher. We have to kind of live music to become good at it. Similarly, in order to become a bhakta, a devotee, I have to do some bhakti sadhanas. If we want to do, or if we want to become a devotee, we need to do three things. Remember in the first class, I told you, karta needs a karana. The doer of action needs an instrument of action. What instruments do we have to cultivate bhakti? Pujanam japa chintanam kramat. For pujanam, we need to have a body, kaya, kayika karma. You worship the Lord. Japa is the repetition of the mantra or chanting the name of the Lord. Chintanam or meditation or contemplation. So we have the body, we have the speech, we are blessed with a beautiful mind. Mana, mind is there. Never mind, we say. I know it gives us trouble sometimes. But so these three things, kramat uttama bhavati. Please remember, the subtler it gets, the greater the difficulty of control. Let's see what Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi is emphasizing here, that we can strengthen our devotion by remaining in the right environment. Here, puja is said to be the function of the body. Let me see if I can share that screen, I think. Function of the body. But of course, we cannot do it without the mind behind it. Kaya karyam pujanam. Even in worship, body, speech, worship are used where chintanam, only mind is at work. You know, there are three aspects to every object. There is a form of the object, its name or name of the object, and its essential nature. So with the puja, we use the kaya, body, speech, walk, and mana, mind. It's like riding a tricycle, because you have support of three of our instruments. Easier. With the body, we worship the form of the Lord. Pay attention. With the speech, we do the japa on the name of the Lord. When we say, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. So we have the support of the body, the speech, and the mind. With the mind, we do the chintanam of the Lord, on the nature of the Lord, His glory, to become one with it. With japa, it's like riding a bicycle, because you are employing the speech and the mind. You have support of two of the instruments. But as we go subtler, chintanam is much subtler. It is supported only by the mind. That is why it is subtler. It is like riding a unicycle in a circus. Circus, it doesn't exist anymore, but it used to be. That's where you saw that, somebody riding a unicycle. I hope you got the idea on the three forms of bhakti. So the greater, our Puja Gurudev always used to say, keep your mind where your hand is. So greater the number of support, the easier the task is. You know, even if we have to do something simple, more hands come together, task becomes easier. This is the yajna spirit. We just celebrated 10 days, Navaratri and Vijayadashmi. . So many people came together. When we do that type of samuhika puja, the gratification, the level of gratification is much different. So when it is said, pujanam japa chintanam kramat, contemplation is superior in that order, does not mean japa and puja are inferior. It's like we are taking baby steps in our sadhana. We leave one rung of the ladder to climb the other. We go from grosser to the subtler. It needs higher levels of concentration. It needs higher levels of focus. So remember that thought development. Keep an attitude of dedication and devotion. We develop that relationship with the Lord. Then it becomes easier to accept what comes as prasada buddhi. Let me narrate you a story. One night, a man had a dream. He was a very strong devotee or bhakta of the Lord. He dreamt in that dream that he was walking along the beach with the Lord. Across the sky, in the horizon, it flashed scenes from his life, as though it was a projection on a big screen. For each scene, he noticed that there were two sets of footprints on the sand. One belonged to him, and the other one belonged to the Lord. When the last scene of his life flashed before him, and then he looked back at the at the footprints on the sand, he noticed that many times along his journey of life, there were only one set of footprints. He noticed that it happened at the very lowest time of his life and his saddest times of his life. This really bothered him. So he questioned the Lord about it. Oh Lord, you said, once I decided to surrender to you, to follow you, you promised me, yoga kshemam vahami aham, that you will walk with me all the way. I have noticed that during the most troublesome times of my life, during sad times of my life, there were only one set of footprints. I don't understand this, Lord. When I needed you most, why would you leave me? Why were you not there? The Lord smilingly replied, my dear, You are very dear to me. You are my bhakta. You are my devotee. I will never leave you. During your hard times and suffering, when you see only one set of footprints, those were the times I carried you on my shoulders. He is always with us. We just have to have that faith. Moving on to the next shloka. Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrat Deva Pujanam Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrat Deva Pujanam Jagataha Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrat Deva Pujanam Bhavati. Let us discuss what Pujanam is that is described in this verse. Jagata Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrat Deva Pujanam. Deva Pujanam. What type of God? Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says Ashtamurti Bhrat. That one with eightfold form. He outlines 8 factors. They are, remember from our basic Vedanta modules, if you are new, please go back to that. There are 5 great elements, Pancha Mahabhutas. They are Akasha, space, Vayu, air, Agni, fire, Jala, water, Prithvi, earth. These are the 5 great elements. Then we have the moon representing all planets and natural satellites. Sun representing all stars and galaxy. Sun and the moon are our illuminators of this world. Then the 8th factor is the Jiva, the experiencer of the universe, representing all of the living beings in the Srishti. To now I understand this cosmic form. This comes even in Purusha Suktam, this Virata Purusha. But how do I worship him? Yukta Sevanam Deva Pujanam. Service to the world is the service of the Lord. Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi says, Ishadi Yuktam. That service we do to the world should be endowed with this kind of vision. Ishadi idam jagat. Ishavasya Upanishad also says, Ishavasyamidam sarvam yatkincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bunjitaha magrudah kasya svidvanam. The whole world is pervaded by the Lord with this kind of bhavana, with this kind of attitude when we serve the world, with this vision of the Lord. A lot of times in government buildings, especially in India, we see this type of a vision statement that is put. Jana Seva is Janardana Seva. A Gnani does this type of puja. Even in Narayana Suktam, we say, Vishwame Vedam Purushas Tad Vishwamupajivati Patim Vishwasyatmeshwaragum Shashvatagum Shivamachyutam Narayanam Mahagneyam Vishwatmanam Parayanam Narayana Paro Jyotiratma Narayana Paraha Narayana Param Brahma Tattvam Narayana Paraha Narayana Paro Dhyata Dhyanam Narayana Paraha Yacha Kinchit Jagat Sarvam Drushyate Shruyate Piba Antarbahishcha Tat Sarvam Vyapya Narayana Stitaha. So when we see the Lord in everything and in every being, that is worship. Vasudevam Sarvam Iti. This type of bhavana is that of a gnani. Madatma Sarva Bhutatma. The self in me is the self everywhere. The divinity in me is the divinity everywhere. This is the highest level of pujanam. Now the second level of pujanam is that of a upasaka. At the beginning, we start with a ritualistic form of the puja. What is popularly called as the Murti Puja. Murti means a pratika, a symbol. Murti is made up of usually a clay, wood, or 5 metals, panchaloha. We do the prana pratishta when you start to look at it as God Himself. Then we worship it, it becomes Deva Puja. Story of Swami Vivekananda ji comes to my mind when he was in a king's court. That king was a Nastika. He was a non-believer in Murti Puja. He starts to criticize the Murti Puja as idol worshippers, stone worshippers, etc. Swamiji happens to be in his court. To teach him a lesson, Swamiji calls one of the ministers and tells him to bring the portrait of the king's father that was hung in the king's court and asks him to stample on it, spit on it. The minister is shivering in fear. He's shaking. Swamiji asks him why. This is just a painting of his father. The king understood the subtle message of Swamiji, apologizes to him for his bad behavior. So in Murti Puja, we do what is called as a Shodasha Upachara. You invite the Lord to your home, Avahanam. You offer him a seat, Asanam. You wash his feet, Padyam. You give him the best drink that you like, Achamanam. You bathe him, Snanam. Special bath like Abhishekam. Give him clothes to wear, Vastram. Sandal paste or any other perfume, Gandham. Decorate him with flowers, Pushpam. Offer him the best food dishes that you prepare, you make, Naivedyam. Then a lot of other people, before Arati, they also do Rajopachara like Nrutyam, Mantra Pushpam, Sangeetam. You think it is all over, then they do one more, Karpura Neerajanam. Some people really love these long pujas. The idea behind it is, we think of the Lord the entire time we are doing puja. We develop that bhava, that relationship with the Lord. When we do that Murti Puja, this helps to develop that one-on-one relationship with the Lord. One time, I believe, Sri Lokamanya Tilak was staying in one of his relatives' house. He heard that the little girl arguing with her mother, telling her that Tilakji never does puja. For those of you, Lokamanya Tilak was the Indian national leader, freedom fighter, before Gandhiji came on the scene. So he goes to the girl, tells her that it is important to do Murti Puja, and takes her to the terrace of the house. He shows all the people that are walking down on the street and tells her that my puja, what I do is for all these people. When you understand that, you don't have to do Murti Puja. What a beautiful story it was. So serving the world is serving the Lord. Jagata Ishadi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Bhrit Deva Pujanam. So when we start to look at this cosmic form of the Lord, we begin to see that oneness in all. See, a doctor looks at you as a patient. A shopkeeper looks at us as a customer. You look at him as God. Then there are all these subsets. Adi Shankaracharya ji, in our religion also, there are a lot of subsets, right? Adi Shankaracharya ji was a great unifier. He came up with what is called as a Panchayatana Puja. It includes Lord Ganapati, Surya Bhagavan for Upasakas, Lord Shiva for Shaivites, Lord Vishnu for Vaishnavites, Shakti for Shakti Upasakas, Durga, Lalitamba, Saraswati, etc. So when we do Pujanam, what happens? The mind gets purified. We worship the form of the Lord, Rupa. Just like we teach children, how do we teach them? The alphabet. A is for apple, we say. So the moment child knows, it sees an apple, it begins to recognize the alphabet A. Like that, our mind registers the form of the Lord. We begin to revel in the form of the Lord, and in the next class, we will see how we revel in the name of the Lord. Japa sadhana, which is mainly done as a speech. With that, I'll stop here and let's do the concluding prayers. Please stay back for Q&A. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrutyorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all be happy. May all be healthy. May all see auspiciousness. May none suffer. Om peace, peace, peace. With that, I'll open it up for questions, comments.